Hi, weirdos. It's me, Dan.
What's up? It's Jake on the other end of the line.
So, it's been a while, but I've been pretty sick. Though,
Well,
between,
and
since
working.
I've, and well, yes. Well, it has been Easter, hasn't it?
That was our last one. Was on like Easter Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Well, I worked all the other days.
Yeah, me too.
So, since I spoke to you last, I'm a bit loud. Since I spoke to you last, I have made a discovery about myself.
Are you developing subtits?
I really love bubble tea.
Oh yeah, I like bubble tea too.
Do they have a bubble tea place at home?
Yeah, I think they do actually. I used to get it in Halifax all the time. It's just tapioca, right? It's not. It's
Well,
not magic, but it's so delicious. I like tapioca pudding too.
it's tapioca balls, and then I find that I really like the little popping pearls of flavor.
When it goes up the straw, it's like. But
Well, no, but they also have like these little pearls, like it's like a cellulose shell
Oh, like the
filled
things
with
you put on the make your own ice cream at the
yeah.
yogurt place. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and they
Those
pop.
are good too.
They pop. So I
Although
bought.
they do the like if you're sucking on the straw and you don't realize there's one and it goes up, it's like
Yep, right.
yeah, I've done that a couple times.
I introduced Mum to bubble tea, and I was like, "Now, Mum, nearing the end, it gets a little bit tough to get the bubbles up. So use only the suction power of your tongue, not the suction power of your lungs."
Of your lungs.
So yes, lessons have been learned. But yeah, I'm so into it that I bought the cheap version of the NutriBullet, which is the George Foreman single blender bot, and
I would have thought anything with George Foreman's name on it would instantly be the Lux version.
well, it's
Expensive.
pretty damn good, but it was only $35
Oh, hey.
versus the NutriBullet, which is $235. So
Did you know that Mom, when I was a kid, well, I was a college kid, Mom gave me a George Foreman grill because I was getting fat. She was like, "This cuts the fat out of everything."
yeah,
So
yeah.
for 2 years, everything I cooked was cooked on a George Foreman grill. I continued getting fatter.
Yes, reheated French fries on it. I've
Well,
made
it's okay.
grilled
I mean,
cheese sandwiches.
it's all good if you're making a chicken breast, but I would have like 6.
Yeah. I would put pizza topping to
Yeah.
topping and then reheat it in the George Foreman.
I like to make my bacon on the Foreman.
Well, yeah, I bought
Anyway.
a little blender from him, and then I found a bubble tea supply shop. So now I make all of my own bubble tea.
Hey, so
So
so you've got tapioca.
I've
you've
got
got your
tapioca
Your
I've
little
got-
cellulose balls of what,
juice.
cherry flavor.
and mine's mango, and then I've got. But what was great, the best thing about it was, and then I've got chocolate flavoring.
But the thing about bubble tea, though, is that it's pretty sweet.
Sorry.
It's like drinking a can of Nestea, but
Well,
with tapioca
that's the
in
thing.
it.
That's why I bought my own, because now I can put how much sugar I want into it, which is usually either none or like just a smidge, you know, and I can get the bubbles up. So
One
yeah,
time
so
when I was in high school, I had a can of Coke and I added like 4 spoons of sugar to it
why?
just to see. Tastes exactly the same. I think they've maximized the amount of sugar that you can put in solution.
Yeah, I was
in a drink
surprised that
and
you could
taste it.
dissolve it. Yeah,
Yeah, it just
without
I
it
couldn't
like
taste
just
the difference.
every time you stirred it, a little bit more precipitated out.
I don't know that it precipitated, but you know, like I couldn't taste it. I think your tongue can only taste so much sugar.
So much sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I make mine with tea, sometimes a little bit of cordial, and then yeah. So they sent me, this bulk place sent me 4 kilograms of popping pearls, and, and then I ordered 300 grams of.
They were so excited to have a round eye like you interested in this.
Shit. I ordered 300 grams of rainbow jelly, and it was $5. They sent me 4 kilograms of that as well.
What's a rainbow jelly?
It's like, I think it's like the jelly is made of agar, so it doesn't dissolve in liquid.
So it's non-digestible.
I don't know, but it's chewy. I like it. I think now, if you don't chew your drinks, you're just a fucking loser.
Is it? Yeah.
And then I bought a reusable boba straw, so I'm saving the planet.
I thought we were supposed to all use paper straws.
This one's made of metal.
Let's admit it, the paper straws fall apart instantly. The metal ones are going to get full of algae. As
Yeah,
you know.
I've got a cleaner for it, and I bought it in solid. I bought it in solid
Cleaner. I bought a stripping agent for it, so I'm totally carbon neutral. It's better than plastic straws.
No,
We're basically running a fucking metal stripping factory out of your kitchen.
it's metal, and I got it in solid black, so I can't see any of the gross things that inherently are going to be going into my gastrointestinal tract.
And plus, the fact that you're drinking bubble tea now almost exclusively means that anytime you do get a big mildew plaque going up the straw, you're just going to assume it was a bubble of tapioca.
Yeah. Ooh, that one was a little bit bitter. Mm.
Is the jelly stuff the stuff that comes like it's in flour? Like, do you know what I mean? In like tapioca flour? No, something different.
Oh, no. It comes in its own brine.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Mm. Huh. So just excuse my chewing because I'm drinking.
I'm having a little. I wondered if there was a way I could eat more during the day, and I realized if I eat while I'm drinking, I can add some much needed caloric intake.
Today I'm going to be talking about the black-eyed children.
Oh yeah, have you been watching those bedtime stories videos?
No.
I think they mentioned them in that, and it made me think of Children of the Corn. I've got I just wanted to mention that since our last episode 3 weeks ago, we were like, guys, please write in and give us some ideas for stories. We'd had people writing in. Things were getting traction. We were very excited.
Yeah, nothing.
Nobody's written. Nobody's even checked out the Facebook page.
No.
Just like
I think it's also to do with the fact that I always decide to record at International Australian Mow Your Lawn Hour.
Yeah.
So,
well, the quality's never been good. I mean, you know what you're getting.
It should be. If you could see the shit I'm talking into, you'd be like, this should be
impressive.
Good. Yeah, but it's not.
See, I use cheap equipment.
Oh.
I don't know if that's probably... I have good equipment sitting right next to me, but the cheap equipment was already plugged in. So,
well, I mean, the what do you have? The blue.
This is a blue snowball microphone. It's just like a little computer mic.
Okay, well, my blue microphone was really nice, but then it stopped working. So, and now I'm using it should be really good because it's. What is that sound?
It's not on my end. I assumed it was cicadas or something at your house.
I think it's my children.
No.
I'm using a Rode microphone, and it's called the Procaster.
Oh, so, that's an expensive mic.
Yeah, it's a really good microphone, and I've got it plugged into a Behringer soundboard. But I think that's where I fail.
Behringers are a little bit cheap, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Mine is plugged like USB directly into the computer.
Well, I know, and I think that's like then my next purchase might just be that I get a Blue Yeti.
Better computer. I've got the Blue Yeti. That's the good microphone I have. That's just sitting next to me.
I know, so I might just get that, and then it just saves all of this trouble.
But you may have noticed that despite having the Blue Yeti, my sound quality has still been quite shitty. Right across the board. Getting a non-squeaky chair would be good. I was going to talk today about the murder of Mark Kilroy, and I really debated not doing this one. I went through all the research. It's super dark. I'm not like I said, I'm more into the supernatural stuff. But what happened was, I got really into True Detective. You know that show on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the first season, and then the second season, not my jam. I skipped it. But the third season was excellent.
Wait, wasn't the first season like kind of paranormal?
Kind of, yeah. It was Matthew McConaughey. And,
Yeah.
yeah. It was really good.
Hold on, I have to go yell at my children. I think that's them. Hold on.
Okay. He's yelling at his children. The first season of True Detective was Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, and man, it was deadly. It was all the things I like. It was a good mystery. It's like true crime, but like he said, maybe a little hint of the paranormal. Like maybe there was a cult involved. Anyway,
Yeah,
I was just explaining season 1. But yeah, so I rewatched that one, and then I was like, man, I wonder if there are any cases that are kind of like that, or that was based on. And then I found this case, and I'm pretty sure that that's what they based the first season of True Detective on.
I just finished watching. I finished Pet Sematary.
Oh,
it was so good.
Did it actually scare you, or do you sleep no problem?
No problem at all.
You take a lot of drugs.
I don't think that it was scary. Like I'd love to know the listeners' opinions if they would ever write in again, Lisa.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure if anyone else could possibly find it scary, because it's not.
I'll tell you what, that book scared the shit out of me. But it wasn't the supernatural part. It was the fact that spoiler alert here, just skip ahead 15 seconds. It was the part where his son gets hit by a car, and then the coffin gets knocked over and the body falls out. I was like, oh my God, I can't handle this.
Yeah.
So dark.
It was suspenseful, but it was like, that didn't scare me.
It scared the hell out of me.
Then I watched the 1980s version of the movie.
Did the Ramones do the music for that?
I don't know.
I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery.
No, I don't. Well,
we don't have rights to that.
They may have done it for the Pet Sematary 2, which was maybe a bit of a flop. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the acting in Pet Sematary 1 was real bad.
Yeah.
The guy who plays the doctor, I'm not shocked we haven't seen him since. He's just totally wooden. The little kid Gage. Oh
yeah, he's grown up to be someone, though, I think.
Well, everybody does.
Yeah,
except for his character in the book. But it was just I found it fucking terrifying. I don't know what it was. And what was cool? There was a part of that book. I remember a couple of weeks ago. I was like, I want to talk about the Wendigo at some point.
Yeah. That's
It's in that book.
Yeah.
After you talked about it, I was like, oh yeah, shit, that's in there.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yell at the children again. Sometimes it helps to just use idle threats. I find with Jack. I threaten to take away the iPad, the iPhone.
No, he's outside, and Aaron is mowing the lawn, and he wants to get her attention.
After our last couple episodes, I kind of got a little freaked out about radiation, and I bought myself a Geiger counter.
Oh.
I'll try turning it on, see if you can hear how much radiation is in my office.
No.
Right now it's at 0 counts per minute, but usually it's around 25.
Well, there should be like 0.2 is like normal atmospheric.
I'm not sure if you can hear it clicking, but up to like 3 or 4 counts.
Do you ever take it to work and use it like during CT scans and stuff? That'd be kind of neat.
Well, I got my counts, and I was way over what you're allowed to have.
Well, then aren't you not allowed to X-ray things after that?
That would be great if that was the way it worked, but they just told me not to wear the badge for a while.
Oh my gosh. Well, here it's like a full workplace health and safety issue, so we wear the badges, and if you're over, you're...
Badges? We don't need no stinking badges. Is that racist now?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It
was a great movie.
All right. So, do you want me to get going? I'm getting a little bit annoyed with my children.
I know, but kids will be kids. Plus, everybody's listening to this is basically John, who now has a lift-off T-shirt. Justin, who was like, "I love it that you guys never actually talk about the things you set out to talk about," and and you and I, and maybe Lisa, if we haven't scared her away. But I think the hand soap thing drove her to a new podcast. and your friend Jill. That's about it.
We need to
and Carmen.
Kate now.
Kate and Carmen.
We need to get Kate. Kate again, like John, isn't interested in the One Foot in the Grave podcast shirt. She would like a lift-off Capital shirt.
She is a woman of good taste. I will send her along. I'll send it to you. Does she live there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send it to you. And you can give it to her. What size?
I'd say
we'll just work out the details that you would normally. This would be off the record, but we're going to include it in the podcast.
Yeah.
What size is your buddy?
I would say
XXL.
I'd probably go a small to medium. Probably a medium.
Okay, go medium.
Like, unless it's a ladies, in which case a ladies
no,
medium.
No, they're unisex.
Men's small, then I would say.
Okay. Yeah. All right, small it is. Kate,
okay.
Your shirt is on its way.
There you go.
And if you would like a Sharpie to go along with that, Dan apparently had an envelope for a Sharpie show up in the mail.
I can hook you up. And ironically, I ordered more Sharpies because then I found ones that you can click open and closed.
Ooh.
And my mind was blown. So I ordered one of those bad boys. 2 came.
2K?
2 came. 2 arrived.
Oh, nice. So you ordered one Sharpie, and an envelope with no Sharpies came, but you ordered one more Sharpie, and 2 Sharpies came.
Yes.
So you are even Steven.
Do you want me to go first? Mine's short, so
yeah.
I'll
let me
go
tell
first.
you about this crazy thing that I did though quickly. So because of the because I bought this Geiger counter, I was like, he's coughing. The counts in my office are, like I said, 25 maybe, and the garage is around the same. And we have some granite countertops in the house, and they take it up to like 30 maybe. But I wanted to see something abnormal. So, like the nuclear radioactive Boy Scout from a few episodes ago, I decided to go on eBay and find some uranium glass.
No. That's
a thing that exists. And it's called Vaseline glass, and they make the glass like green. You know how glass, like window glass, sometimes when you look at it from the side, it looks a little bit green?
Yeah.
They make this glass, it's more decorative. They make it really green, but they used to make, they gave it away at gas stations and stuff, and it came in the 40s and 30s. And it's just like this really cool looking green glass, and when you shine a UV light on it, it glows in the dark. But it turns out it's because what they were doing was putting a lot of uranium-235 in the glass to give it that color.
Why?
I don't know. They didn't know as much maybe about radioactivity as we know today.
Gosh.
This was pre-nuclear bomb, right? This was pre... what am I trying to say? The Manhattan Project. So I ordered some. I ordered some from eBay, and I think it's sitting in my mailbox at the moment. So I'll let you know the update on that once I get it and see what the counts are like with it. I hope it's the real deal. But then, in a way, I kind of hope it's not the real deal because I don't want to irradiate my family.
Well, yeah, and then you're like, moral quandary. Do I just chuck it in the bin? Yes, I do.
Well, I think I'll put it somewhere safe. But it kind of got me thinking, like, I bet that Boy Scout didn't know about uranium glass because you probably get quite a bit of uranium out of it to make your reactor better.
Well, I know, but he probably didn't have, like, a kiln that would superheat the glass enough to be able to separate the uranium from the glass.
That may be it. But you would grind it into powder, right? And then you just do a wash and get the uranium out, I think.
No,
I don't know.
Dude,
I don't know how it works.
I don't know. I don't know if you can dissolve silica. The other thing that I'd like you to use your Geiger counter on is your smoke detectors.
Yeah, I don't want to alarm you, but I don't have any functioning smoke detectors in my house. I went around
Shit.
looking for one. I was like, because they have americium or whatever it's called, 241 in them. I was like, I gotta find those things, but I can't find any.
You don't have
I,
a smoke alarm in your house?
well, I've never. You know what's funny? I've set the alarm off many a time everywhere else I've ever lived, and I got thinking, geez, I've never set the smoke detector off in this house. And then I went around looking for one. And I didn't find one. I think there might be one up at the. You know how we have a foyer with like a staircase, but
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
ceiling is 2 levels high. I think
Yeah.
it's up there.
Yeah.
So hopefully it never runs out of batteries, because or it ran out of them 22 years ago.
You've got like a central alarm system though, don't you?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I would imagine that it's connected to the mains power.
It has a heat sensor, so I think it uses just the heat sensor to set off an alarm if there's a fire, because it does say like a fire alarm, but it's not like a smoke detector.
It's pretty
Yeah.
that's pretty far away from some places in your house.
Well, that's kind of like the Chernobyl reactor. It's got one heat detector
Yes.
away from the part that melted down. Yeah,
All right, well, I'm going to talk about the Canuck Chase. It's a
Canuck
forest can, Canuck,
like like Canadians, Canucks.
Cannock.
Oh shoot! I was hoping our favorite mystery detective was going to make a comeback, eh?
Mr. Canuck Chase.
Yeah. You guys
I
just have a
chased him
seat on the
down.
Chesterfield there. We're not allowed to have a look around with my ghost hunting dog.
Yeah, my Labrador.
All right, the Canuck chase.
Yeah, so it's a forest in the UK. There was initially some drone footage that got me onto this one. So these guys went out, I think, like around Christmas time after they had opened their drone, and they were flying it on the border of the Canuck Chase because there's this huge open field and then it goes from field to forest really quickly. So that's what turned me onto it. And they were flying it and they saw this like white sheet and they kind of went closer to it.
Sorry,
It
moisturizing.
sounds yeah, it sounds like you're about to jerk off.
I have all these scales in between my fingers from like washing my hands so much. It's really gross. Last night I had a dream that all my face was flaking off, and it was like all this white skin hanging off my face. I couldn't even see my eye in the mirror. It was like a bunch of little Tibetan prayer flags. It was really fucked up. Anyway, continue.
The visual is
Yeah.
just horrendous.
Yeah.
Right. So so anyway, they were flying it and they saw this person on the very edge of the forest, and they
In a
kind
white
of
sheet.
in a white. Well, it was turned out to be like a white dress type, and they flew closer. And I assume but she had jet black hair going down into the middle of her back of this white sheet that she was wearing. And like really dark eyes, but it was kind of mysterious because you couldn't really get a good visual of it. Now, here's the thing that I'm like, this was completely fake and total bullshit.
Okay.
Is that you saw me try to fly that drone at Christmas.
Yeah, it's nearly impossible.
It's nearly impossible. Like, it would take
For a
lot.
first timer. Yeah.
Yeah, it would take a lot of practice. So, like, the first time that you go out and fly a drone, you're not going to be able to, like, hover in one spot and then zoom in onto this entity and then fly back out and be like, oh, that was crazy for the first time using this drone. It, you know that it would be like, if
What are
they
the
saw
odds?
anything, yeah, if they saw anything, it would be like, we were flying it and as it crashed, I caught a glimpse of something white.
Right. So you've seen the footage of this.
Yeah, it's very good quality for a first time drone flyer. Now, that said, maybe the more expensive drones have a don't
There's
crash.
some scary pictures when you look up Canuck Chase Ghost.
Yeah.
Eee.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Anyway, so that's what got me onto it. I think the same guys, or at least two guys that sort of saw the same footage, went into the forest together. Actually, there was four of them. It looks like the two blokes and their dads, but that's kind of
Sure.
yeah, like the two older guys, two younger guys. They were saying that they were getting loads of EVP. So it, for amateur ghost hunters that only just found drone footage, they had an electronic voice phenomenon microphone just
Sometimes you just find what you're looking for. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
just sitting around. Yeah. So it was kind of hilarious to watch because it was like the Blair Witch Project with no climax. They they said they were like, yeah, we're getting loads of EVPs. They saw an apparition that emitted its own light, but
Like
they
an orb.
an orb. It was an orb, but then they were like, "There's someone out by the car," and they went to their car, and it was in the exact same direction of this orb that they saw. So my feeling is that the orb was someone turning around with their car
With the car. Yeah.
and their headlights. They
Gotcha.
they were getting intelligent responses from, hold on, their spirit box.
Oh, good.
So I was like, okay, so how can you get intelligent responses from spirit box?
Well,
So
it's just radio channels, right?
well, I went ahead and downloaded an app. so so let's just see. What's my name? What
Actually, it sounded like it said Jake.
say my brother's name again? Oh, Jake.
I thought it said turd.
Yeah. So I think we've got ghosts in my house.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it
because
just scrolls rapidly through radio stations, right?
yeah,
That's all it's doing.
yeah. Well, that said Jake.
Oh.
Yeah. So the good thing is the ghost thinks that I'm you.
I think it'd
So-
be very funny to make an app where you just you tell your friends it's a spirit box app, but then you
Yes.
program it to say something really
Yes.
creepy in a specific voice.
Yeah.
So it's like ask the ghost a question.
You're going to die.
Exactly. Exactly. I would love to give that to the BuzzFeed Unsolved guys. What a great app idea.
Well, they've got this app that shows you ghosts in your house, and it's essentially Pokemon Go, but with ghosts. It's
with
Pokemon Ghosts.
It's like the ride at Disney World where it puts the ghosts in your cart with you in your the haunted mansion.
What's this? Oh, yeah. Well, this is augmented reality. So it shows you pictures, like you use your camera, and there's like, oh, there's a ghost sitting right over there. So anyway, they asked the spirit to come forward, and a black figure was seen behind him, which could also have been his shadow. Because they were using
There
flashlights.
were two of them. One normal looking and one dark. The dark man just hovered over the ground.
He had no face. Then they heard unexplained running sounds. They turned the spirit box back on, and hold on, I'm going to cough. Talk amongst yourselves.
I think, maybe he's got COPD. There's a lot of this,
I got bronchitis.
the bronchitis. There's
Yeah.
chronic bronchitis is a type of COPD.
Yeah, well, I got that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they turned on the spirit box, and they heard clearly, hide. Then they also heard, there's an orb. And then
Hit me, baby, one more time.
then they asked, is there a black-eyed child here? And they heard, the devil, deadly. So
I like
what
that we-
I heard was devil and
Oh, the spirit box is talking in tongues.
Who does anyone know Arabic?
I'm pretty sure that was Arabic for
For it's deadly. Run.
Yeah. Program interrupted.
Sorry. I'm very, very sick.
Unwell.
I'm an unwell man. So
I had a terrible episode myself.
Last episode?
No, well, I mean, I'm universally terrible at this, but no, I had it must have been esophageal spasm or something, but I thought, it's the big one. I'm going out. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew straight away that you were going to be fine.
I was pretty sure I'd be okay. Like, my first instinct was to take a bunch of Gaviscon. But then I was like, man, it's not going away. Maybe I am having a heart attack. Chrissy was like, you should go to the hospital. And as a physician, I was like, no, it's too embarrassing.
Yeah, no. Doctor, you have heartburn.
Yeah, just don't put my weight in the obituary.
They won't need to. We're going to have to get a double wide here. Do you sell double wides?
We're going to need a bigger casket.
Hey,
we're going to need a bigger box. It's like the shark line for funeral home directors.
Yeah.
Just looks at the corpse and he's like, I think we're going to need a bigger box.
Do you have reinforced stands? I'm worried that the aluminium one may not hold them up.
Yeah, how to do it tactfully. The pallbearers, are they young men with good backs? Or...
So we've decided that in the true fashion that Jake loved, to walk him down the aisle in the casket on the back of a Chevy Ford truck.
Yeah.
He loved his trucks.
He loved his half ton, and it's going to take him right to the graveside.
You know what? We're going to bury him in it. We can't get him out.
Can't get him
back.
Once
he's in there for good.
Does anyone have a cutting torch? No.
No. Just okay. I'll just need a brick, and let's clear the way to the river.
Just back up real fast and then hit the brakes.
Okay, so these blokes, they were in the forest. They were like, "There's someone down near the car," which I've written here. This could be the source of the light.
Yeah, it's a dome light.
He was like, "I heard a weird noise by the car," and they got the spirit box out again, and they got intelligent responses. Then I don't know. I must have gotten so sick of this video that I was like, just keep speaking to the air. So like they're just speaking to the air. Like they're asking, like if you are not a believer in the supernatural and you see these people walking around saying, "So did you die here? Did you die here in the war? Anyone?" They look really stupid, and then they put on the EVP
they
again.
They don't just look stupid. Those people are stupid.
Well, I mean, okay, so we've all been in that situation where you get a fright at night, and you're like,
all the time.
Yeah, and you're like, hello?
But I always think that was stupid. I always think somebody's broken into the house, so I grab a hunting knife and then go running nude or in my underpants through the house with a hunting knife. I'm much more likely to trip and stab myself in the dick than I am to actually have an intruder in the house who I can actually use the hunting knife on.
Jake asked us not to put his weight in the obituary, but he did want to mention that he did have a forked penis thanks to a hunting knife injury.
An unfortunate accident.
He'd like to be called Koala Cock.
The koala. I was doing that with the hunting knife, and then one day I ran downstairs. It was a couple of years ago, and Eric and Zeta lived across the street from me. And the next day, Eric was like, were you up wandering around the house with a knife last night because the
Oh my
windows were
gosh.
open, right? I said, yeah, I was. And Eric was like, if you kill somebody with a knife, even though they broke into your house, you're going to be found guilty. You need to use a hammer and pretend that you were doing renovations in your bedroom, and that's why the hammer was there. You're not supposed to have a weapon beside the bed. So now I have a hammer, but I still grab the knife first. I'm like, I'll deal with the ramifications later.
Oh my gosh. I used to have a cricket bat under the bed, but then I
Yeah.
cleaned. Then I cleaned and it was very dusty.
I
Very
went
seldom
over
spooked.
went over to our friend's house. I don't really want to say the name because it's kind of a rare name, but he's an orthodontist. Anyway, you know who it is.
Yeah.
Good friends of mom's. Anyway, and he was brought out a gun from his bedroom, like a 22.
Nice.
And I said, "Oh, you just keep it in the bedroom?" He said, "Well, Justin Trudeau said the government has no place in our bedroom, so I figured it's the only safe place I can put it where he won't take it away."
That's pretty smart.
That's awesome. I'm not sure it would fly in court, but
Justin Trudeau said,
yeah,
the government won't come in my bedroom. That's where I
government
keep
has
the
no place
bodies.
in our bedrooms. Yeah.
Anyway, the last EVP that these guys got was thank you. And I believe it might be complete and utter bullshit. Oh wait, no, they did ask how many are there of you here, and it said a lot. And it just sounds like static to me. Anyway, that's the Canuck chase in the
Oh,
UK.
that's it.
That's it. Told you it was short.
Nobody was killed. Or no.
No.
This was a day with a drone after Christmas. It all
Yeah.
happened in a day.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it happened over the course of months to years, but that was my journey. That was my
Oh, there
journey.
you go.
Yeah.
This is the murder of Mark Kilroy. This is not brief, and if you want me just to shut the fuck up, I will. I had taken notes, and it took me days to take the notes. And like I said, it's so dark. I wasn't even going to do this one. We did a couple of radiation-related ones in the
Yeah,
interim.
they were upbeat.
Yeah. Well, I like those things, and and then I there's been all kinds of really funny true crime stuff happening that I thought would be better than this, but I did so much work on it. I was like, oh, I'll just do it, and then I found out about 20 minutes ago that my notes are gone. So
I know. I think the moral of the story is to not do your notes on your phone.
yeah.
Maybe-
So you can hear actual paper notes today.
Oh, nice. You know what else I can hear? That fucking chair.
It's a great. It's like the soundtrack to our podcast in a way. It's like the rhythm section.
It's just someone on some empty maracas.
Clack.
It's the empty maraca time. There you go.
It's the ghost of the better chair that used to be here. All right, so Mark James Kilroy was born on March 5th, 1968 in Chicago. His parents were Jim and Helen, and they moved to Texas from the Midwest after their son was born. Kilroy grew up, I think, in Santa Fe, Texas, and he was there 15 years with his brother Keith. He was raised Catholic, and his parents were frequent attendees of Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church in Hitchcock, Texas.
Must be good people then.
Well, he was quite devout, I guess.
Until he...
Even though this is kind of
Oh
a spring
wait,
break.
he got murdered.
Yeah, he's not a murderer. Yeah,
Oh right, he's the murderer E.
yeah, murderee.
Yeah.
Poor kid. He was excellent at academics and athletics, and played baseball, golf, and basketball with his friends. He was in the Boy Scouts for a long time, and in Santa Fe High School, he came 14th in a class of 210 students.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty smart kid.
Yeah, we did better, but that's fine.
It's true, but we faded fast. Well, how many were in our class?
I don't know, thousands.
500? I think it was 500 at the time because there was just the one high school. What'd you come in out of 500?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean,
25th.
I'm not being modest. I just know that I came first.
Did you really?
No.
You put the dick in valedictorian. Oh.
Oh no. Oh no.
Apologies to those of you
Who don't know
have
that the sponsor of
gastrointestinal
the sponsor of our podcast is IBS.
Pepto-Bismol.
It's the disease that keeps on giving.
Listen, it's the struggle is real. There's too much stigma around the GI issues. If it weren't for the smells, I don't think anybody would find farts so hilarious. But it's the twin combo of that sound and then the stink. Anyway, so he
tell
graduated.
tell us more about this poor child that was
This
murdered.
horrendous murder that I'm so tastefully covering here. Fuck's sake.
When you think
Anyway.
of Jake and Dan, you think respect.
Class. Well, this is why I didn't want to do this one. I think I have a hard time paying these people due respect. And this was a nice guy. He graduated in 1986 and initially went to Southwest Texas State University before transferring to Tarleton State University in Stephenville, Texas on a basketball scholarship. But he joined a fraternity, I think Lambda Chi Alpha. And then eventually he gave up athletics and wanted to become a medical student. So he started pre-med at
Started eating more pizza.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I went to university. I was quite fit because of rowing and not eating pizza every day. And then after the first 3 months, I believe I came home a fat ass, and I have been one ever since.
The freshman 15.
It was like the freshman 50. Let's be honest. I think I put on 50 pounds by Thanksgiving. So in 1 month and 2 weeks, I put on 50 pounds. First time I had regular access to beer, and life has been on the wrong track ever since. Anyway, so he went into pre-med at Austin, University of Texas. So I'm going to skip ahead now. So this is prior to the disappearance. This is a March break story. and it's also a Mexico story.
Yeah, enjoy your trip.
Yeah. This is, back before, like when we grew up, because we were after this guy, we were the next generation. Like Mexico, even before the cartel wars had found their way into the tourist towns, you always kind of said Mexico, but with caution, right? You were like,
Yeah, no one goes to Mexico. Don't go to Mexico.
don't just.
I mean, I learned
we have
that-
some listeners in Mexico. We actually do have some because one of them has commented on our stuff. But I'm sorry that you have to live there, but I wouldn't.
I don't
That's
want
a
to
horrible
go.
thing to say.
No,
it's
look,
just so
I mean,
dangerous.
I learned my lesson from an episode of The OC where they went to Mexico and Marissa got really messed up.
Chlamydia.
Drugs.
I've been to Mexico, and Mom got mugged in Mexico in Cancun.
Yeah.
Within 5 minutes of arriving, I believe she got
Yeah.
off the plane, out of the taxi, mugged.
Yeah.
They stole everything.
And, like,
rest
beaten.
of the trip at
Beaten.
the embassy.
Yeah.
Also beaten, black and blue.
Yeah.
And then I went and I had a guy come up on me and try and grab my wallet, but I just kind of told him fuck off. But I was with a bunch of other guys too, so we all.
Where
kinda,
were you?
like,
What were you there for?
at the end of medical school, our whole class went, and I was basically there just to see if I could sleep with some girls in my class. Didn't work out so good. No, I'm just kidding. I was there for the beer. And I had
The
some
beer. Right.
I had some really good friends in my med school
I was
class
there
who
for
I
the
haven't
drinking
seen
water.
Since. I never drank. I never got sick. I didn't drink any water. I brushed my teeth with beer. It was like I was fully committed. And I brought. I didn't eat the food. I just brought my own granola bars, and it was just granola bars and beer for a trip to
Gosh.
Mexico. We had a good time though. But yeah, like when we went downtown, it was a little sketchy, and that was a touristy area, right? Anywho,
So
so
Mexico.
these guys, these guys wanted to go to South Padre Island, which is in Texas, but it's like a border area, so you can get to the border to Mexico quite easily from there. So his Kilroy's friend Bradley Moore finished his exams and picked up Kilroy. And then they headed up to Santa Fe to pick up two other friends, Bill Huddleston and Brent Martin, before heading to South Padre Island for their spring break. They checked into the Sheraton Hotel on South Padre the next morning. It was like a 9-hour drive. And then they headed to the beach. And this is the 80s, right? And the dude's like, he's a good-looking guy, but he's got a mullet and stuff. It was it's kind of funny looking back at the time when you go through. There's some really good YouTube videos of this, like Discovery Channel things. So when they got to South Padre, there wasn't a big crowd yet. It was like the first weekend out of the 5-week spring break season. But what Texas does is all their schools take their spring break at the same time. So thousands of students started pouring into South Padre Island, which is like, it's a Gulf Coast kind of cool place to be at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
Had like water slides and stuff everywhere. Beer sponsors were staging a whole bunch of events, and the beer sponsors had like a thing, this was before cell phones, but where you could make a free call to home. And so these guys used the beer sponsor phones to call home and stuff. He sounded like a good kid. There were opportunities to be in beer commercials, and they kept having these Miss Tan Line contests on the beach by the Sheraton. The guys were going to those. So it was back when you didn't worry if you were objectifying women. You were just like, women are objects, and I'm taking it all in. Anyway. So later that first evening, they met a group of girls from Purdue University, and they partied on South Padre until the next morning. That morning, Kilroy and his friends basically had kind of established that they wanted to have this routine. So they went to the beach in the morning and suntanned before lunch because you gotta get bronzed. Spring break.
yeah.
I mean, I find it funny. I think there are still some guys like that who like will lie on a beach and just bronze their skin. But to me, I just don't give a shit. I don't look good no matter what color the skin is. So if I'm at a beach, I got a fishing rod in my hand. After lunch, they went behind their hotel for the daily Miss Tan Line contest.
Oh my gosh.
And after that event, I know it's just so superficial, but the 80s. Kilroy headed to the hotel for a quick nap, and then they planned their trip to Mexico. They left South Padre Island that evening and stopped for dinner at the Sonic Drive-In in Port Isabel, Texas, where they met a bunch of girls from the University of Kansas. Arkansas.
Kansas.
Yeah, no, this is regular Kansas. And they were planning to party in Mexico as well, so then they followed Brent's car to Brownsville. And in Brownsville, Texas, they parked their cars by the Gateway International Bridge and then crossed on foot into Mexico. And this is the first time they went to Mexico. They spent most of the evening at a place called Sergeant Pepper's nightclub in Matamoros. Matamoros is the town, and Matamoros is like little mini Las Vegas, one street with a bunch of bars on it. Spring break, they rename all the bars to like anglicize them to make them sound better. So like there's a Hard Rock Cafe, but it's not the Hard Rock Cafe. It's usually called Los Sombreros, but they changed the name. And a whole bunch of things like that. Anyway, they returned like early in the morning, like 6 a.m. or something, to the hotel that first night. I am having a hard time finding any sleep in these people's schedule.
To be young.
Yeah. They went to another Miss Tan Line contest that afternoon, and then Kilroy met with one of his former frat brothers at a condo party, so they went to a condo party. And then at 10:30 p.m., they decided to head back to Matamoros. And you got to think, like, these guys aren't all 21, and the drinking age in Mexico, is there one?
I don't know.
They put tequila in the baby bottle, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot more relaxed, so that's probably why they keep going across the border. So they crossed by foot again that second time. That night, Matamoros was flooded with 15,000 tourists from spring break from the U.S. side. And the main street is called Alvaro Obregon, but I'm not going to say it wrong, and it doesn't matter. It's just the main strip. The sidewalks and nightclubs were totally packed, so they just decided to go to the bar with the shortest wait line, which is called, of course, Los Sombreros.
No.
And I think that's the one they renamed the Hard Rock. I really think that, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
There was like bright neon lights and rock music playing, but it was kind of a little bit empty. So they left that bar and wandered to another place called the
Los
London
Sombreros.
Pub. They're all called Los Sombreros. London Pub. Oh, and London Pub was the one that had rebranded itself the Hard Rock Cafe for spring break. It was really quite wild. Like, the guys were standing down at a bar on the ground floor, and people up on the balcony were throwing beer at the band, and it was kind of a wild place. Kilroy met a few girls at the bar, and the friends didn't see him for quite a while. At 2 a.m., Bill suggested they head back to South Padre Island. And as the friends stepped out of London Pub, they saw Kilroy leaning against a car and talking to one of the girls from the Miss Tan Line contest.
Oh my gosh, these tan line contests.
Keeps coming up. But he was like, back then, he was quite a handsome kid. Like, you would have thought, like, David Hasselhoff was popular, and he was the young version. That's
Yeah.
And like, you know, he's a med student,
okay.
and he's an athlete, whatever. The place is super crowded, right? So it's kind of hard to keep with your crowd. And the large crowd sort of got in between them, and the friends kind of got separated. So the disappearance. Bradley and Brent separated from the group and walked to Garcia's, a popular restaurant store close to the border. Kilroy wanted to say goodbye to the girl from the Miss Tan Line contest and then waited for Bill to walk towards him. But Bill had to have a piss, so he ran into either a park. One story says a park and went to pee in the bushes, or a nearby alley. Anyway, he ran somewhere to have a whiz outdoors, and Kilroy was waiting for him. But when Bill came out and caught up to the other two guys, Kilroy was nowhere to be seen. So they started shouting, Mark, stop fucking around.
Kilroy.
But they couldn't find him. They looked for a few hours, like 2 hours, I guess, based on the timeline.
And then they went to the Miss Tan Line contest.
The streets closed and cleared at 4:30 a.m. So then they crossed the border thinking maybe Mark had gone to Brownsville and was waiting by the car, but he wasn't at the car. And then they figured, maybe he hooked up with a girl or whatever and went back with somebody else. So they went back to their hotel. But when they woke up the next morning, they still couldn't find him, and they called the police. So, moving to the investigation, I tried to organize this in a way that actually makes it like a tellable story instead of just puking up facts for you. Mm-hmm. So the investigation, the search for Kilroy started just as like a routine missing persons. Students reported missing in Matamoros usually showed up hungover. Sort of the next day. Probably, were there roofies back then? I mean,
definitely.
I'm sure
I think that's when Bill Cosby was at his highest.
Right. Good call, Cosby.
Yeah.
So probably a lot of them were getting the Cosby special, but
Jeez.
They didn't worry so much about it back then. The case started drawing attention, though, because Mark Kilroy's uncle Ken worked for the United States Customs Service. And when the news reached his uncle, he kind of organized things, and a police task force was created in Brownsville to start searching for the kid. They were alarmed by the bad publicity in Matamoros. And so in Matamoros, the local police tried to shift the blame, saying that he disappeared in Brownsville. But ultimately, they kind of didn't get away with it.
Classic case of they said.
Yeah, and it's making Mexico look bad, right? So then the federales vowed to work on the case and help U.S. investigators. So they actually teamed up between the U.S. And the Mexican feds. And one of the commanders assigned Mexican agents to U.S. officials to accompany them in Matamoros. And they started working on the case, but it went cold pretty fast. They suspected it was some sort of murder, but no one really found evidence of it. And the place had been trampled by 15,000 people, so it was kind of hard to even find a crime scene, right? They thought maybe there was some kind of drug-related violence, or maybe he'd been robbed, essentially. So they kept expecting to hear, maybe there's going to be a ransom note or whatever, but that never happened. So, jumping ahead a little bit, this did end up on America's Most Wanted, but the parents had come down to search and stuff, and they ended up just going back to Santa Fe after a couple of months. Was
he close to the water? I reckon he just drowned.
Well, that's a good thought, but like I said, it's a bit of a True Detective special here. Mm-hmm. So one event kind of...
oh, wait, is this a solved murder? Is this a solved disappearance?
Yeah, I'm not giving you... This one isn't a mystery anymore.
Yeah,
it was a mystery for quite a while.
Okay, sorry. As you were.
Okay, let me get to how they solved it. April 1st, 1989, Mexican state authorities were... So this is a month later. They were stationed at a routine checkpoint near Santa Elena when they saw a vehicle run through the checkpoint without stopping. The vehicle crossed the international border from Texas. Yeah. Sped through Mexican Federal Highway 2, connecting Matamoros to Reynosa, something or other. I can't pronounce it. Tamalopes.
Yeah, Tantalopus.
We'll go with that. It's definitely incorrect. The guy driving the vehicle was a guy named Seraphin. So they picked up this guy, and
Seraphin.
They followed him, like they chased him back down to this ranch that he was working at, and they found a bunch of crap at the ranch, like drug smuggling stuff, like bales of marijuana and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. They didn't arrest him. They just kind of gathered more evidence, and they eventually brought him into the police station to question him, just to find out where all the drugs are coming from, that kind of thing. And he basically said, as they were finishing this routine sort of drug bust questioning, he said he saw a photo of Mark Kilroy on the wall, and he said, "Oh, I've seen that kid." And he said, "What do you mean you've seen him?" He said, "Oh, he's buried at the ranch that you arrested me at." So,
give me immunity and I'll show you where.
So they started going through this sort of investigation with this guy, and when you watch the videos of them interrogating him, it's just like it's like he expects no harm to come to him, right? He just says, "Oh yeah, no, we killed him, and
we
he's
what?
buried at the
we
ranch."
What did we do to him?
They killed him, and
and
buried at the ranch.
You said killed him.
Yeah, killed him.
We killed him.
And so when they brought him back to the ranch to say, "Where is he buried?" or "Where's the body?" The guy says, Seraphin goes, "Which body?" And they said, "Well, what do you mean, which body?" "Oh, there's a lot of bodies here." And he said, "Well, we're looking for Mark Kilroy." And he says, "Oh, he's over here." And they've showed them this burial site, and there are these wires poking out of the ground. And they said, "What are the wires for?" "Oh, that's so we can get his backbone later." So,
gosh.
So now let's kind of explain what happened. So there's a man named Adolfo de Jesus Constanzo, and he's actually born in the U.S., born in Florida.
It sounds like an American name. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, his mother's Cuban, and he was raised Catholic, but he had kind of the stepfather who's in and out of the picture. But his mother would take him to, what's the one that's attached to Dominican Republic? Haiti. You should take him to Haiti.
Nice.
To teach him voodoo and stuff like that.
Oh, wholesome. Good thing they named him Jesus.
Well, exactly. I think the father was Catholic, so they were. I'm speculating here, but maybe just keeping the father happy. The family, eventually returned to Miami in 1972, and the stepfather died after that. As a teenager, he became apprenticed to a local sorcerer that began a practice, who taught him to practice a religion called Palo Mayombe, or Payo Mayombe. I'm just going to call it Palo from now on, just because, the paleo
Because
diet.
of Palo Santo.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like, this is one of those Afro-Caribbean, kind of like voodoo, right? It's animal sacrifice related. Everything in Palo Mayombe is centered around a cauldron, and in the cauldron, basically
Like
whatever
most
you put in the
witchcraft.
cauldron gives you strength. Yeah, is very weird. And what's odd is it kind of originated in the Congo, and all the people I've heard talk about this. So this guy, just skipping ahead a bit, Constanzo, he was homosexual. He was he had multiple boyfriends at the same time, but he had this woman who worked with him named Sarah something or other, but she
Smith.
She's American. She's Sarah Andrade, but she's an American, and I think she was kind of in love with him a little bit. And what he would do is he would use her to sort of entice males and that kind of thing to basically to pay him money in order to use Palo Mayombe to protect drug dealers and that kind of thing. And he had established this essential narco cult that used Palo Mayombe to protect the drug dealers from the police arresting him. So when this Seraphin guy was just kind of laying it all out, like, oh yeah, we killed this guy and we buried him here and blah, 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 he was assuming that there would be no consequences because he was protected by Palo Mayombe. Now, he wasn't just, this Adolfo Costanzo was not just doing this for drug dealers, he was also doing it for like Mexican politicians, and he was in Mexico City, and people were paying him huge sums of money to perform these rituals because they believed, like, unlike other religious rituals, this one, they felt like it worked very well, which also freaks me out a little bit. But then I got thinking, if it works so well, why is the Congo such a shithole? Pardon, sorry from the Congo, but like, I mean,
If you're listening from the Congo.
come on. If you're listening from the Congo, congratulations on being the warlord in the Congo who can afford an iPod. But I mean, it's Congo would be interesting. I'd like to go see the gorillas, but again, like Mexico, I'm not an adventure traveler.
No.
Mexico's not
Yeah.
that big an adventure, but the Congo's quite an adventure. Anyway, I'm sorry I called your country a shithole. I'm sure it's lovely from the inside. It's just not for me. My country is also kind of a shithole from time to time, so I can relate. But
Just fucking
Anyway.
keep going. No one from the Congo is listening.
as I just dig myself deeper with the Congolese, well, I don't want them to eat me, is what I'm getting at. I've been reading this story.
I've got a horrendous case of kudu.
I don't want to be in the cauldron. Anyway, fuck this poor kid. So this was kind of this cult, and what had happened is Kilroy stood on the street that night when his friend was going for a piss. A man parked inside a red truck lured him over to ask him if he needed a ride, like under that pretense.
Of course. And you're like, in Mexico? Of course I'll get in the car with you.
Well, there were a lot of people around, apparently. But Constanzo had sent his little worker guys, Seraphin and the other guy, to kidnap. He wanted an American with a good brain. So what they think had happened is one of the girls that Mark was chatting up at the bar might have been that Sarah Andrade.
Yeah, and she was like, okay, he's smart.
And she went there to find like a pre-med student or whatever, to find a brain for the cauldron.
Mm-hmm.
So as he got close to the vehicle, Kilroy was grabbed by two men and wrestled inside the truck. Because of his sort of athleticism, he was able to break loose about 2 blocks down the road, but they stopped him. And on Wikipedia it says they stopped him by holding a gun on him. But on another thing I was listening to, I guess one of the guys just yelled "freeze" like he pretended he was Mexican police, and Marcus kind of froze in place and put his hands up. Anyway, he was subdued, handcuffed, and put in the back of the truck and driven to this ranch. They drove him through back streets and past an industrial area. The number of bars and vendor stands in the street thinned out as they drove, and the gangsters then turned into a dirt stretch between two cornfields, and they got to the private ranch called Santa Elena. They left him in the car overnight, and then after dawn, the ranch's caretaker, who may be Seraphin, the guy who was talking to them, the witness, he went to see Kilroy and fed him bread, eggs, and water. Again, if I were in Mexico, I'd be like, you know what? It's okay. No water, thanks. 12 hours after Kilroy was kidnapped, Adolfo Constanzo and his men came to see him. They wrapped his face and mouth with duct tape and walked him through a field to a storage cabin with his hands still tied behind his back. Through that second night, Kilroy was tortured and sodomized. He was then led out to the field, and Costanzo eventually killed him by chopping the back of his head open with a machete. They removed the brain and boiled it in the nganga, the pot, cauldron. Or the cauldron. And he had used that to stew human and animal remains. Kilroy's legs were then chopped off above the knees to facilitate his burial. A wire was inserted through his spinal cord to pull the bones out once the body decomposed. And they buried him on the grounds of the ranch. So when the investigators went, and this guy said which body, they ended up digging up, I think 14 other male bodies from the ranch, and so Kilroy's parents always said, like, you know, his meaning in life was to stop these people from killing these poor, like, Mexican men, because they would have never. You know, the missing people in Mexico don't really carry the same amount of sway with the police as missing Americans, obviously. Which is sad, but that's just the way life is, I guess. And so, you know, if he hadn't been the last victim, then maybe they would have gotten away with it. The Adolfo Constanzo guy actually went on the run for months
and ended up in pre-med.
Well,
ironically enough.
He was with that Sarah Andrade, and they actually thought he had gone to Texas, but they went to Mexico City, and this was weird. They didn't know how to flush him out, and they had not an archaeologist, anthropologist who studied Palo Mayombe, come and say. He said, look, if you want to get this guy to come out, burn down his cauldron, like burn down the ritual place. And so, you know, it's like there's usually this chain of evidence thing, but they said, okay, well, we'll do it. But they had as many cameras there as they could, and they put it all over the news. And when the guy saw it, when Constanzo saw it on the news that they had burned down his cauldron, he really believed that he had lost all his powers, and he kind of lost his cool. And then the Sarah Andrade was recognized on the streets of Mexico City, and the police swarmed him. And we're not sure. One story is that he had one of his sort of henchmen, cult followers, shoot him with a machine gun. That's probably the story the police gave. And the other story is that the police just went in and machine gunned him as soon as
which
they never intended to bring him in.
The irony is
because he knew all the politicians who had been paying him, right? So the idea is they don't want a witness, so they just machine gun him, and then he's gone.
Yeah. Well, do you think that Palo Harambe is real now?
No.
Because you know,
I don't want to mess with the dark forces.
I'm
sure
they did burn down his cauldron, and when they did that, he was caught. So
and I'll tell you, I don't know what's real and what's not. I'm not, like I said, I'm cynical. I think if Palo Mayombe, now there are two. There's some other religion that's the opposite of Palo Mayombe, and one is lightness and one is darkness, and Palo Mayombe is supposed to deal with the darkness. I'm sure. You know, there are things in this world that I don't want to understand. I don't want to walk through that door. I don't want to swallow the red pill. I'm happy with my, Christian upbringing, and I'll just stick with that. But I read The Dirt by Motley Crue, a long time ago, and there was one part where they had multiple people saying that they were doing all this Satanism worshipping stuff, and a spoon or a knife or something flew off the table where they were doing this ritual and stuck in the ceiling, and they had like 4 people attest to the same thing happening. So you never know. Maybe you can unlock some darkness, but I'm not. I'm not going to do it.
It's not for you.
I don't really believe it. And like I said, if Palo Mayombe was so great, why isn't the Congo worth
super
trillions
great
of dollars, and the place where everyone's trying to immigrate to, instead of chopping off people's hands and making ashtrays out of gorilla paws.
Those cigarettes aren't going to put themselves out.
Snorting cocaine mixed with gunpowder. The list goes on of reasons I don't want to go to the Congo. And you would think if Palo Mayombe was awesome, then it might be different. Anyway, that's maybe I got a little bit racial there. I'm sorry if that's the case. Saying, some countries I don't want to visit. That's all.
Oh, there's lots of countries that I don't want to visit.
Most.
Yeah.
Canada, the U.S., Australia, New Zealand.
I love the U.S. to travel to.
Me too.
It's just fun, and it's
and you know what?
Nice.
Say what you will, he did make America great again. No, just kidding.
No.
Let's get into that. I don't feel strongly either way. I love the U.S. I love driving there. I love drinking the water and knowing I'm not going to get the shits.
Yeah. It makes life way easier.
It's a great country. Canada, too, although I've driven across Canada a few times, there is a lot of woods in the middle. If you're ever wondering, are we going to run out of woods? No. You're not going to run out of woods. There's a lot of woods.
I like the U.S. because there's, always a destination, thing. So, you can drive from Maine to Disney World and stop at, the Pennsylvania Dutch and then keep going.
There's a ton of shit to see.
Yeah.
There's an absolute ton. There's Gettysburg. Who doesn't want to go to see that? That's amazing.
I loved Europe when we went to Europe because of the history, but it wasn't fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I liked Italy.
Yeah, it was good family time.
It was fun to drink when you're 17.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure that there'll be a time in my life where I'll be like, I want to go there and do that.
Actually, I love England. I loved going to England, but I don't know that I could get a car and drive around England. But I can definitely get in a car and drive around Boston or wherever.
Yeah, but you don't need to. If you're, drive around England, yeah, you could totally do that. But drive around London, it would just be stupid. You would just...
Yeah, but you know me, I'd take a wrong turn. I'd get in the wrong lane. I'd drive on the wrong side of the road. I don't...
You just need to come practice here in Australia.
Yeah, I'll just take out a few Aussies before I try my hand at English driving. So the other one, Japan, I might actually go to someday.
Yeah, I think I've
tried the skiing and the sushi.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about Japan, and it's clean, and I could do that. But
can you drink the water in Japan?
I think you can.
I know it's not giving diarrhea to the Japanese people.
No. But I think you can drink the water, because I Googled that when I was, it's like this cooking thing that you sent me, the ASMR cooking thing. They wash the fish so thoroughly in just tap water. And I was like, because you eat that raw. So I was like, can you drink the water there? And the answer from Google was yes. Yes, you can.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah, I wouldn't take your Geiger counter, but
no.
Apart from that, I think it'd be a pretty great place to visit.
I was so close on this one. There were 2 great Japanese stories to do. Because we've talked about Fukushima a couple times, I thought I'd talk about that one. I love nuclear stories. I don't know what the hell it is with me.
Well,
There's also the Demon Core from the Manhattan Project that killed 2 people. doing the stupidest kind of experiments you could. These are geniuses who were trying to do an experiment that relied on them holding a screwdriver between two shields to keep it from going critical.
Oh, right.
Yeah, crazy. But and then there was a guy in Japan who they were pouring uranium solution into a holding tank just by hand and accidentally poured too much and it went critical, and it was the worst way to go. It was like 56 days of having no skin. I couldn't do it because I felt too bad for the guy.
I would just be like, make me go to sleep.
Yeah, he didn't. He said, I want to, I want to be
suffer.
I want to be your subject for testing radiation poisoning. So they did all kinds of different like novel skin grafts on him and stuff, but he still
Rejected them all.
Horrendous.
Oh my gosh.
Well, every picture of him, like as it went, it's just like a bed full of bandages and like oozing fluids.
Yeah,
it was
pretty.
It was as
gross.
awful as you could go. I felt terrible for the guy.
Well, on that lovely note, thank you for listening to One Foot in the Grave podcast. You can find us at onefootinthegravepodcast.weebly.com, and all the links to where you can listen to us and where you can find us on social media.
You can write to us at onefootinthegravepodcast@gmail.com. And really, we would like some story ideas. I'm going to get back into the supernatural, I think.
Yeah,
But
well, I mean,
I don't know where to start. So
Google ghost.
Hit me up.
Ghost.
I don't want to do a regular ghost. I don't know. I want a weird one. I could do some hometown. Stuff.
Some hometown hauntings. That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be good.
Fun. Or
All
if you
right.
send us a story, we'll read it on the air. How's that sound?
Yeah, we will. I mean, because it just saves us having to do anything else.
Yeah, Dan will read it. Because both of you know I cannot read a word.
All right, bye, guys.
See you next time.